Hey boys and girls, it's science time. Okay, so I found a cool Bill Nye the Science Guy video to show you guys. It says it's 28 minutes long, but at 16 minutes it stops and then it starts to repeat itself. So you just got to stop watching once the credits roll because I can't find the cut version of it. But it explains all about frogs and amphibians and the frog life cycle, and it shows you some really cool details about it. So I also have another video from the San Diego Zoo to check out some of the frogs they have and learn about them. And then I have a video to show the life cycle of how it transforms in the cycle from an egg all the way back to an adult frog, and which we're going to kind of talk about today. So as we know, frogs are amphibians, and they have been around for a very, very long time. They have survived like 5 different extinctions that have happened. They even have some frog bones that they found that were alive in the dinosaur periods. So frogs have been around for a very long time. Some, I think, might be starting to go extinct. I don't think they have as many as they should have. But yeah, no, frogs are great. They all differ. You have frogs that are super, uber, duper tiny, and you have frogs that are like super huge and fat. But the big thing about frogs is that they all have these nice long legs to help them either climb or jump really far. And they live in all sorts of places. You have some that live in trees, some that live in the mud, some that stay in, there's one specific one that stays in water all the time. But majority of them just live all around, and they all make different noises too, which is pretty cool. Frogs will breathe through their lungs, but they don't drink. Like, you know how most animals will take their tongue to slurp up water to drink water? Yeah, frogs don't do that. Their tongue is only used to catch different bugs or small animals, depending on their size of it. All the frogs are carnivorous, which means that they eat meat. So they eat, some frogs actually eat other frogs or small rodents or birds. Most of them, as we know, eat insects, which help control our insect population from getting way too big. So frogs are great because they'll eat all those bugs for us that annoy us and bite our skin. So they protect us from that. But their tongue is only used to catch their food. It's not used to drink water. Their body is actually what they drink water from. So their body is that slimy, smooth skin. And so they'll go into the water, and it has little holes in it that open up that will take in that water for them. So their bodies help keep them cool or warm them up from being cold-blooded, but it also helps them suck in that water for them to drink, so they're not thirsty, which I think is a pretty cool fact. And then some of them have webs in between their feet that help them fly, like glide further when they go to jump, so it helps them jump even further. Some of them, it helps them swim better in the water, but a lot of them have like little sticky little pads that help them climb really well, and they also produce this mucus that is like slimy and sticky that helps them stick to things. So they're great climbers and jumpers and swimmers. Some frogs are poisonous. Those really brightly colored ones can be very dangerous and poisonous. And some are super bright, but they're not poisonous. They're like mock. It's just like a way to ward off their predators. Lots of frogs use camouflage, which means that they can change color or hide in specific places. So predators like birds can't find them and can't see them. So it helps protect themselves that way. And yeah, frogs are pretty cool. I'm excited for you to watch these videos on them because they'll show you different types of frogs and what they look like and some of the sounds that they make. And they also have like a little cool experiment for you to do at home in the Bill Nye video, so you can kind of see how the skin will take in water of a frog. It's pretty cool. It's super simple. It deals with just water and food coloring and a small jar and a big jar and a piece of paper towel and a rubber band. Everything which you should have at home. If you have a rubber band, I know more girls, you guys have ponytail, you girls have ponytails, so that would work pretty cool as well. Anyway, all frogs go through a life cycle, which is where you start from when you're born all the way until when you're an adult, and then it kind of starts all over again. So as we know, all frogs will start out as an egg, and the egg we call frog spawn. Frogs lay eggs in their water, and they lay them in big clusters and big clumps. And so what happens is it's all this, like, it's surrounded by all this jelly, because lots of other fish might go and eat the eggs. So frogs produce so many eggs. And sometimes the mama lays the egg and leaves them alone. And other times, depending on where they lay them, sometimes the daddy watches over the eggs. But, yeah, so the eggs are pretty cool. Here's a picture of that frog spawn. You see all that clear stuff? That's all the jelly that's coating it. And that little itty bitty black dot, that's the egg. That's where the tadpole's going to start to grow. And so it grows in clusters. They let them out into clusters, and it's like hundreds of eggs at once, you know? So at least some of them can survive, and a lot of them can survive after. But, they release all these eggs into the water and watch after them. And then it takes about 14 days, about 2 weeks, for those eggs to be ready to be hatched. And once they're hatched, out comes a little tadpole. So they're growing inside this eggs, and then out comes this little itty bitty tadpole that looks like a fish. It has gills to help it breathe underwater, and it has a tail to help it move around. So when they're ready, after 2 weeks, these eggs break open and these tadpoles swim out. So there's tons of tadpoles swimming all around. That tadpole will eventually begin to grow back legs. So the frog will start to grow its back legs first. So its body's starting to slowly take the shape of that frog. And those back legs pop out, but it still has that tail. So it's swimming around, but it's starting to get used to those legs, and those legs are growing nice and strong. It's still living underwater and surviving underwater. So that tadpole, it goes from a frog spawn, which is the egg, and then 14 days later, it pops out as a tadpole, and it's swimming around and eating and growing. And the first thing that grows are those back legs that they push out to help them swim and get stronger, because they use their back legs to really help them jump far. After their back legs, their front legs start to grow and sprout out. But their front legs don't grow out. They grow in the inside of them. And then once the front legs are completely grown, it's like when you put your arms inside of your t-shirt. You know how most of you guys do that in class when you're cold? And that's how you take your arm out and you pop it out. That's kind of how their front legs work. Their arms are inside of them, and then all of a sudden when they're completely grown, they go boop, boop, and they pop out. So now they have front legs and back legs. And when they have their front legs and back legs, they're called a froglet. So we've got our front legs, but this makes it a froglet, which we've got. It's starting to look like a frog, except it still has this tail here. So back legs, look how much stronger they are. They've gotten bigger and stronger, and now those front legs popped out. So now we're like a froglet. We're like a mini frog, just with a tail. Well, the tail eventually starts to go away. The frog starts to consume its tail, which means it kind of uses it for food, and it sucks it back in and it takes it in. So the tail gets shorter and shorter. So now we're really looking like a froglet here. We're looking like a mini version of a frog, because that tail is getting shorter and shorter. And it's starting to get ready to be on land and live on land. It's coming up to the surface more and exploring. And then finally, that tail comes all the way in and it is absorbed completely, and it is now an actual frog that can go on land and explore and live its life. And then guess what? It's going to start all over again with the adult frog gonna go lay some frog spawn in a pond, which are those frog eggs. 14 days later, those eggs are ready to hatch and out swim tadpoles. And then the tadpoles, they start to grow and get stronger, and they first grow their back legs, and then they're swimming around with their tail and their back legs, and in the inside, their front legs are starting to form, and once they're formed, out pop the front legs, and now it's a little froglet with front legs and back legs and tail swimming around, and as it's doing that, that tail is starting to be consumed in the body and shrink up shorter and shorter, which is food for the frog. And then all of a sudden, we have an adult frog. So we've got our little life cycle complete. We start with that frog spawn, which is the eggs. We go into tadpoles, grow some back legs, grow some front legs, lose our tail, and then finally we are an adult frog. So I'm going to send you these pictures so you guys have these real life pictures at home. But I also have got just a little mini life cycle for you to cut and paste the order. You can color it. But if you really want to get in depth, it'd be really cool if you could print out the frog pictures and make your own life cycle using all of those frog pictures there, because it gives it a little bit more detail. But Miss Bona is also going to go ahead and send you these cool videos. I got 3 videos coming your way. The San Diego Zoo video, the how a tadpole turns into a frog video, and the Bill Nye video, which is super cool and all about amphibians and frogs as well. So, yeah, go ahead, get watching, get started on your life cycle, and maybe go out by little streams or ponds, because frogs don't live near salt water. They don't like salt water. It's all fresh water, but it's all slower moving water as well, so they can move. So if you've got a pond in your backyard or in your neighborhood, or you can go by a lake or something that's not really fast moving water. It's more of a slower, like a stream. Maybe you might be able, near the banks of it, maybe you might be able to find some frog spawn or some tadpoles. You know, go looking around or see what types of frogs you find. And then tomorrow we're going to learn the difference between a frog and a toad, because they are both amphibians, but they are not the same. They have some differences. They have some similarities, but they also have some differences. So, yeah, get to going, and I will be back with you guys for math. See you later.